YouTuberinos. I hope everybody is well and swell on this exciting Thursday evening. In this video, I'm going to read to you guys the help overview section of the 32-unit cell braille display labeled respectively as the Braille Sense U2, made and developed via HIMS Incorporated. Before we get into the information about this unit, I am briefly going to tell you the table of contents containing the help overview page, such as the electronics version of the help overview page. Chapter 1, Introduction. Section 1.1.9. What is the Braille Sense U2? 1.29. Hardware. 1.2.1. The top panel. 1.2.2. The right panel. 1.2.3. The left panel. 1.2.4. The rear panel. 1.2.5. The front panel. 1.39. Hardware specifications. 1.49. Memory on the Braille Sense U2. In total, the table of contents are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are a total of 10 chapters here within the table of contents of the Help Overview section. Starting with Chapter 1, the Introduction. 1.1. What is the Braille Sense U2? The Braille Sense U2 is a Braille Sense note taker developed and made/manufactured via HIMS Incorporated for people who are blind and visually impaired, labeled respectively as low vision. HIMS Incorporated is located out of the state of Texas. The Braille Sense U2 has a variety of powerful capabilities, including the following. 1. Read, text, BRF, RTF, PDF, EPUB, and Microsoft Word. Excel viewer and PowerPoint files. Examples of RTF being used is for PowerPoint. Take notes or create formatted documents and email, print, or emboss them for those that would like a physical hard copy of the unit. 2. The unit is capable of utilizing social media networking sites and services, web browsing, RSS, also known as resources and websites, and email via the Wi-Fi network or Ethernet port, labeled respectively as an Ethernet cable. 3. Play media, Daisy Books, MF Radio, and YouTube. Videos posted on the YouTube website. 4. Organize your appointments, contacts, and your own custom databases. Examples of where to go to organize your contacts would be within the address manager, located within the web browser. 5. This unit is capable of performing scientific calculations, as well as setting an alarms or specific alarms, and explore the lunar and solar calendars. 6. You can share files with other people and other devices using Dropbox, active sync, mass storage mode, or via a network. Here's an example of mass storage mode. If you want to share a file with somebody, the file can be on a zip drive of any kind, particularly a USB drive. 7. Use the braille sense U2 as a USB or Bluetooth braille display with a compatible screen reader such as Windows Eyes JAWS. Notice how this is in hyphens. The unit's manual calls it Windows Eyes JAWS. NVDA, Supernova, or Nova, as some people say, Supernova system, Access VoiceOver for Mac and iOS, and TalkBack for Android. 8. Use the included Google Maps application, built-in GPS, sensor, and digital compass to navigate independently. Typically, when using the unit's GPS, it is compatible for those who are wanting to practice their orientation and mobility skills. This can be used without the need of other external devices. Chapter 2, Hardware. To get the most from your braille sense U2, it is important to become oriented to the buttons and ports on your braille sense U2, as well as learning their functions. This section explains the hardware configuration of the braille sense U2. The braille sense U2 is 10 inches long by 6.1 inches wide by 1.9 inches high. The bottom of the unit contains rubber feet in order to prevent slipping while you are using it. Place the braille sense U2 on a desk or tabletop with the braille display nearest you. Its shape resembles a small, thin, rectangular box. This section of the manual describes each side of the braille sense U2 and the basic functions. For those of you learning UEB, notice that there are indicators here. These indicators contain parentheses. If you have a braille sense U2, Please note that this unit must be set up in UEB mode. For new subscribers that don't know what UEB is, it stands for Unified English Braille. The letter S after the end of the letter N for functions has parentheses surrounding it. Beginning parentheses is dots 5, 1, 2, and 6, and ending parentheses is dot 5, 3, 4, and 5, such as dots 3, 4, and dot 5. Please note this side note here in case you are asked to read a story in Unified English Braille and memorize these indicators. And always remember to memorize the buttons and ports of the unit. We will discuss the panels in the following order: top panel, right panel, left panel, rear panel, and front panel. Let's discuss the top panel. Chapter 3, the top panel. On the top face of the Braille Sense U2, it is located as the 9 key Perkins style keyboard, consisting of Braille dots 1-36 space. Along with the backspace key and enter key. For those of you that have been familiar with the Perkins Brailler, the enter key is located to the left and the backspace key is located to the right. The backspace key and enter key on the Perkins Brailler are shaped in circle form. The difference here on the unit is that the enter key is to the right of dot 6 and the backspace key is directly to the left of the apostrophe key. The apostrophe key is dot 3. When you are typing, you should place your fingers on these 9 Perkins style keys in the following manner. Notice that there is a hyphen here after the word manner. Place your index finger, middle finger, ring finger, and pinky finger of your left hand on the left 4 buttons. Then place your index finger, middle finger, ring finger, and pinky finger of your right hand on the right 4 buttons. Finally, place both of your hands, such as both thumbs, on the space bar. Some of you might ask if the space bar requires both thumbs. It's recommended here in the manual that you use both your left thumb and right thumb. Preferably, I like to use any finger for the space bar. But for those that are beginner users to the unit, think of the space bar as your thumbs key, or just your thumb key with either your left thumb or your right thumb. And for those of you wanting to know orientation and mobility, the space bar key is directly in the middle. It's the middle sideward horizontal fashion key. This key is also in horizontal fashion on a regular keyboard, such as a regular computer keyboard. The button where you placed your left index finger corresponds with dot 1 in Braille. The button that your left middle finger is on corresponds to dot 2, and the button under your left ring finger corresponds to dot 3. As mentioned, this is the apostrophe key. The button on which your left pinky finger is placed is the backspace key. Backspace key is typically used for deleting typos within a Microsoft Word doc when completing a homework assignment. We will discuss how to navigate more with the keys when we review the basic functions. The button under your right index finger corresponds with dot 4 in Braille, and the button under your right middle finger is dot 5, and the button on which your ring finger is placed corresponds with dot 6 in Braille. The button on which your right pinky is placed is the Enter key, and the long bar shaped button under your thumbs, as mentioned earlier again, is the space bar. Again, think of the space bar as the thumbs key. It's recommended that you use this key with your thumbs, such as left and right. This video will be for new interns and new trainers wanting to become a TVI, labeled respectively as Teacher of the Visually Impaired. Please listen to this video in its entirety and you will hear the step-by-step key descriptions. On the same row as the spacebar are 4 rectangular function keys. Please take notes for this next part of the section. The two left of the spacebar and the two right. Moving from left to right, horizontally in horizontal fashion, the key to the far left is the F1 key, labeled respectively as Function Tab Key 1, and the key to the right of it is F2, labeled respectively as Function Tab Key 2. The key to the right of the spacebar is the F3 key, and the key on the far right is the F4 key. Typically, the 3 function keys that are commonly used for navigation purposes is F1 and F2 and F3. In a later lesson, we will talk about each purpose for the 3 keys and their activations when they need to be activated via a single finger press. Follow the keyboard, and below the keyboard is a 32-cell Braille display. Above the Braille display, there are 32 small oval-shaped buttons corresponding to and each of 32 braille cells. These buttons are called cursor routing buttons. When you are editing documents, you can use these keys to route your cursor to the character of the corresponding braille cell. The cursor routing keys also serve as shortcut keys for navigating lists and groups of files and fields in certain places of the unit. Outside of the unit's purpose for the cursor buttons, as mentioned before, the braille display can be paired to an iOS device and be compatible with Android applications. Here's an example of when cursor buttons can be used when the unit is paired to an iPhone or any other Apple device developed via the Apple Department of Apple Support and Apple Care. Cursor router buttons are typically used when you are wanting to open an app on the iOS device, particularly the Contacts app or Messages app. We will discuss in a later lesson how you can launch apps with the cursor buttons and or via the U2's commands. On each side of the braille display are two capsule-shaped keys that are the size of capsule pills. These are up and down scroll buttons, also known as scroll keys, or if you want to look at this as a computer keyboard, you can call this, such as these keys, up and down arrow keys. The scroll keys are used to scroll through the braille display and through menus, fields, lists, or text, or through a list of files within a folder. You can use the scroll keys to scroll by display, length, paragraph, line by line, sentence, or character via character. You can set the left and right sets of scroll keys independently within the global options. See Chapter 3 near the top center of the unit's top panel is a liquid crystal display, LCD. The LCD, such as the crystal display LCD, has a light at the top. The LCD displays the output of the unit visually so that a sighted person can see what is shown on the BrailleSense U2. Here is a typical scenario. Speakers are located one on each side of the LCD for audio output. To the right of the LCD, along the top edge of the unit, there are 4 LED lights, such as LED lights. Notice that the word LED is in all caps. The far left LED light shows wireless LAN status, and X, Y, and Z. When wireless LAN is on, this LED light turns blue. The next LED indicates Bluetooth, status bar. Again, when Bluetooth is activated, this LED light turns blue. The third LED light shows the status of the GPS receiver, also known as the receiver bar, or in some instances, RCB. When you are running Sense navigation, or as labeled respectively as GPS navigation, the LED turns blue. Note, only available after purchase and download of and with a license and map data for Sense navigation. The LED light on the far right indicates power status. Here's an example of power status. The power status typically contains battery, such as the battery life of what your unit is at. Going back to talking about an iOS device. For sighted people that use iOS, and for visually impaired people that use iOS devices with VoiceOver, VoiceOver will describe the bar for the statuses. VoiceOver will say status bar item. When the Braille Sense U2 is powered on, the LED turns red. This is a very important skill to remember for those of you that can use your good sense of vision when getting familiar with your orientation and mobility skills. As mentioned before, in an adapted version of a currently working in progress part of the manual, orientation and mobility is vitally important. These LED lights help a sighted person easily determine the status of the unit when working with students. This helps them quickly evaluate whether or not options need to be changed for accomplishing current tasks, or if options are activated insecurely / unnecessarily and can be turned off to save power, and etc. Chapter 4, the right panel. On the right panel, there is a recessed rectangular section containing 2 ports. The port nearest to the front of the unit is the USB OTG port. This is also known as the USB plug-in. This plug-in is capable for inserting a USB drive or a flash drive. You can connect your Braille Sense U2 to a personal computer via this USB port / plug-in, respectively known as a slot, and this can be used as a Braille terminal for the computer. for transferring files to and from the computer, or to synchronize your calendar and contacts with Outlook or Gmail or other email accounts. Behind the USB OTG port is the AC adapter jack. Once again, to familiarize yourself with orientation and mobility, let's talk about where to find the AC adapter. So we will review this tactilely. The AC adapter jack is a round hole, the shape of a circle. To charge the unit's battery or use the BrailleSense U2 on AC power, please plug the small round end of the AC adapter charger into this jack and plug the larger box like end, such as the battery pack end with the prongs on the bottom, into the standard AC electrical outlet. Near the rear of the right panel is a 3-point position slide, also known as a 3-position slide switch. The switch goes in horizontal fashion from right to left and left to right, also known as going sideward. Again, a vital skill for orientation and mobility. This is the key. Lock. It's more of going backward and forward, but still, in this case, orientation and mobility is vitally important. The key lock switch will be discussed here within this section. The switch is discussed in more detail in the next section. Chapter 4, the left panel. The left panel of the BrailleSense U2 unit contains a rectangular recessed section with 3 things. Nearer the front of the unit are 2 full-sized USB host ports. Use these 3 ports to connect a USB thumb drive for automatically storage, or a USB keyboard, or a printer. Nearer to the rear panel of the unit is the SD card slot. This is used for housing an SD card for file securing and digital securing. The SD card is a digital card to store any types of audio files or archives. You can put this card within the unit, also for additional storage as well. Note, if you attempt to connect the BrailleSense U2 to a computer via USB thumb drive, which is combined with other devices such as a card reader or hard drive the Braille Sense U2 is not recognized via your computer as a mass storage device or a Microsoft Word / Windows mobile device via ActiveSync. You must connect the Braille Sense U2 directly to your computer or use a USB hub containing only USB host ports. This concludes the 4 chapters of the Help Overview menu. Please stay tuned for part 2, where we will talk about the rear panel. For more information about this unit, please search for the YouTube channel that HIMS Inc. has. If you would like to learn more about this unit, please visit the following website, and a link to the website will be linked here in the description box of the video. HIMS Inc. is available to help people from 8:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. CDT, labeled respectively as Central Standard Time. To search for their website, please type in www.support-hims-inc.com. You can actually search for the website via a shorter way. You can type in www.hims-inc.com. Please note there will be no phone number or email being provided here in the email or in the video. Only a website link is allowed to be provided due to the protection and confidentiality purposes. If you call the number for HIMS Inc., please listen to their options very carefully as to what their qualifications are when assisting people with blindness and low vision.